Good afternoon and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Chad Silber. This guy right here is Ben Briscoe, and that is Lauren Coleman.
Hey, ladies and gents. Thanks for watching us on WFMY News 2, Fire Stick, Roku, and we're also on the News 2 app.
It is Groundhog's Day, and it feels like it with another gloomy day out there.
All week we've been dealing with that.
But tomorrow, it's all going to change.
We will get an update from Tim in just a couple of minutes. But first, the big story we are following this afternoon. Reidsville police say 5 people were hurt in a crash, including 4 teenagers. Investigators say they were speeding yesterday afternoon on Freeway Drive when it happened. WFMY News 2's Daniel Cruz heard from police and business owners nearby about speeding problems in the area.
Freeway Drive has been an issue for years, and unfortunately we are seeing what can happen as a result. You mentioned that accident yesterday. It happened just behind us here along Freeway Drive near the Monterey Mexican restaurant. 5 people were sent to the hospital. 4 of those people were students at Reidsville High School. In a statement today, the district says those students are recovering and are expected to be okay. Police do say speed was a factor in that crash. Back in November, another crash along Freeway Drive killed 1 person, injuring 3 others. The Reidsville Police Department is working to crack down on speeding along Freeway Drive, all in an effort to raise awareness and save lives.
We've been doing joint operations with the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. We'll continue doing those kind of things, and we'll also do some speed surveys, get that information, and we'll continue doing those, and that will tell us what kind of frames we need to be out there.
At one point, nearly a third of all speeding tickets in the city of Reidsville were issued along Freeway Drive. Last year, Reidsville police issued 410 citations for various offenses along this busy roadway, and their message tonight is simple: slow down. Live in Reidsville, Daniel Cruz, WFMY News 2.
And weather certainly not the best today for driving around. We've had a various number of problems. We've had clouds, we've had low fog at times, and also the rainfall too. Thank goodness we aren't having any frozen conditions. All of this is liquid, and we'll continue to see just rain as we go through the next couple of hours, but it's still gloomy. Take a live look at our Winston-Salem camera here. Notice the traffic flowing right there on Salem Parkway. Temperatures are chilly, the clouds are low. We have some rain, 44 degrees the current temperature. So it's not freezing, but boy, does it not feel nice to be outside. Low 40s in much of the Triad and in the foothill communities as well. Notice the rain is mainly, as we said yesterday, I-40 to the south. That's the latest radar right now. A little bit drier as you go to the north, and over the next couple of hours, that will be the trend. The rain will come to an end in this fashion, kind of clearing from north to south. There's plenty, though, still to our west. The good news is that it's just kind of slowly getting pushed as it comes along. So let me show you Futurecast. This is right now, a little bit too far south on our model, so we'll keep the rain chance in the Triad to about 10 o'clock tonight. After that, we'll slowly start to clear things out, and by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, this is 7 a.m., the rain is all gone. So Friday, not only is it dry, it'll also be sunny, but it'll also be cold and windy. Wind gusts tomorrow could be around 20 to 30 miles per hour. I'm expecting it to feel every bit the part of a winter day. Even with that sunshine, it's going to feel pretty cold, and I expect that to continue for the weekend. We'll dive into the details of this 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
But first, let's get to your afternoon headlines. A now former volunteer high school basketball coach is accused of some alarming crimes. Brandon Mock is charged with 4 counts of felony sexual activity with a student. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office says he was a volunteer coach at Glenn High School. Investigators say he was sending inappropriate texts to a student. Now, Winston-Salem Forsyth County School says he was never employed by the district, but had been a volunteer since 2021. Winston-Salem police responded to a school bus crash. The bus was stopped, not picking up children, when a car drove around, hitting the front of the bus, according to investigators. There were children on board, but no injuries were reported. And a warning this afternoon for anyone who uses eye drops. The CDC says Ease-Re artificial tears has been linked to causing a potentially deadly strain of drug-resistant bacteria. If you have the drops, stop using them and watch for symptoms of an eye infection like pain, redness, and a discharge from the eye.
Our state's COVID hospitalizations have made some big strides in the past couple of weeks. The latest patient count is 1,021. It's easy to see the nice decline the state has reported since peaking on January 5th. Hard to believe just a month ago, our numbers were approaching 1,700. We've shaved off nearly 700 patients since then. Now, this is really encouraging considering we don't typically see this type of decline until later into the winter.
We've all seen the ads in which some companies offer to buy homes for cash. They pop up on telephone poles, on television, and in the newspaper. With the housing market still very active, it may seem like a great offer, but is it right for you? Melissa Greer is a realtor for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Yost and Little Realty in Greensboro. She says selling your home for cash means being able to close a deal quickly, but it can also mean missing out on some extra money.
There are third-party companies that come in and make people offers for cash. And they're companies that put them in inventory, or they'll offer for cash at a lower price and then turn around and flip them.
If approached for a cash offer on your home, Greer says there are some red flags to look out for.
And there are companies that really make offers to people directly for homes that are not on the market. And that's really when a consumer needs to be careful. And, a homeowner needs to be careful and make sure they get advice and know what they're getting into.
To get the best possible price for your home, Greer recommends seeking help from a local realtor who you can meet with face to face.
You always see those signs too, like we buy cash for any home. We don't care what it looks like. I've always wondered about that, so I'm glad we got some insight.
She was saying be very wary of that in situations where you're not even looking to sell your home. She's a realtor and she says she's even gotten text messages saying, hey, want to sell your home for this amount of money? And
like
she says
every day I get those calls. Yeah.
And a lot of times they're offering you something that sounds like a good deal, but it's probably much lower, and they're going to come in and usually flip it.
The one thing that would make me consider a cash offer like this is, like, my bedroom is painted this weird color of green that I happen to like, but I know buyers not gonna like.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to deal with painting all that back and stuff. So that might be a good time.
Absolutely.
And I mean, if you're talking cash, I mean, think about how many people, especially after the pandemic, are in a financially tough situation where, if you can get this money now, I mean, hey,
you might want it in your pocket.
Pretty enticing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard from a lot of other realtors, though, too, to say if you're thinking about selling your house, rent it right now instead, because there's such a shortage. You'd make so much money and be able to afford something else.
All right. Okay, I know what you know about this weekend, right? We're gearing up for a huge basketball game, one of the biggest rivalries in sports. Duke and UNC getting ready to meet up. WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson has a preview.
Well, this was the last time we saw Duke and North Carolina play. It was the Final Four last year. Tar Heels won it. A lot of Carolina's teams staying the same. Duke, a much different story. The Blue Devils have new players and a new head coach in John Shire. He tells us his thoughts ahead of his first game against UNC as a head coach.
As a young kid, I've watched this game, and to me, it is the best rivalry in sport, no question about it, and have a lot of respect for Carolina, but not really until this moment preparing for them. And obviously excited, and just like I've been for every other game. And so it's not like this was one circled or checked off or anything. It has to be just game by game.
Duke hosts North Carolina Saturday night. Tip-off is set for 6:30. Guys, I am not buying that this is not circled on his calendar.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, I know you're the head coach and you got to win every single game.
The
but
pressure is on this time.
Yeah. I've been disappointed with how Duke has started the season, the first season after Mike Krzyzewski, because I mean, I think that a lot of Duke fans wanted to be happy like Carolina fans were last year when they got a new coach, and look at how well they did. So Carolina's going to win, right? Like there's no question about it.
No, I don't know. That's the best part about this rivalry.
Is that you just being political saying
that? No. No, you just never know. And that's what the best thing about college basketball is, because right now you're not seeing teams that you saw in December. Everyone's a different team right now. And then when you get closer to March, and then when March happens, I mean, nobody thought Carolina was going to go to the Final Four.
That is what makes the tournament so fun.
And that's what makes this rivalry so fun.
And looking forward to it. 6:30 Saturday.
Enjoy the game this weekend, guys.
As part of Black History Month, we got to highlight someone who's inspired us, either now or in the past, and make a short commercial out of it. Check it out.
Politician Stacey Abrams inspires me. Even after defeat, she kept working for the greater good, empowering people to vote. That no-quit spirit inspires me every day.
Black history is all of our history.
Former North Carolina Chief Justice Henry Frye played a pivotal role in our state's civil rights and justice system. He's an inspiration for his determination to always chart his own path.
Black history is all of our history.
That was a really neat exercise when our marketing director first came to us saying, hey, if you would like to highlight someone who has inspired you. I mean, to think about who you would even pick. I mean,
there's
it was
so
a challenge.
many choices.
Right.
There are a lot of choices. I had to really think about it. I said, I want to pick someone different that I might not have talked about publicly before, but I've really enjoyed watching everybody highlight the people who inspire them the most. It's been a joy to see.
What I really like is on our Facebook page, people have started commenting with their own choices too.
Oh, that's great.
And so I'd love to see yours. A lot of people, not only icons, people we know in history, but like their grandmothers, and they tell the story of why they're so important. And that's the kind of detail that I love.
I love learning about these different figures and just seeing the different challenges they had to overcome, because I think now in our current day, we can really learn a lot of inspiration from how they were able to tackle different things, and we can apply that to us today.
And it's so incredible that Greensboro specifically, there are so many people who were part of the civil rights movement, who are still around, that we just don't even know about. I mean, they live among us.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city, so rich, and a lot of people who've gotten national recognition too. Greensboro has that rich history.
And you can see those running really all day long, all month long. So check it out. We'll be right back.
One, two, three, four, five. How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?
We have another special 2 Reviews exclusive for you. This one on the final days of one man's life, how he chooses to spend them. Manning Franks reviews The Whale starring Brendan Fraser. Let's take a look.
In the early 2010s, Brendan Fraser basically disappeared from the silver screen because of a series of factors that included familial loss, multiple surgeries, and a pause on his acting career. Hollywood had essentially turned their back on the star. Now cut to 2022 with the release of The Whale, and Fraser is back in the spotlight with what some are calling an Oscar frontrunner of a performance. Now, while that performance may be lauded, the films surrounding him, yeah, that's another story.
Are you actually trying to parent me right now?
Who would want me to be a part of their life?
You don't stay in touch with Mom?
She really only tells me things about you.
Why?
Because that's all I want to know about.
Based upon the 2012 play of the same name, The Whale stars Brendan Fraser as Charlie, a reclusive English teacher who is also morbidly obese and at risk of congestive heart failure. Through the span of a week, we get a glimpse into the final days of Charlie as he attempts to reconcile with his estranged daughter, come to terms with his past mistakes, and examine his life to see if it has been one well lived. Some films hope that their viewer is stirred toward a natural emotional response. Conversely, The Whale demands your emotion, and not in a good way. Whatever subtext may be buried within the film, it quickly, like the audience, gets walloped over the head by its loud and boisterous melodrama. Darren Aronofsky's heavy-handed direction feels like the wrong fit for a film that could have been a rallying cry of compassion. Thankfully, Brendan Fraser elevates the maligned material. Unsurprisingly, Brendan Fraser has been receiving the highest marks of his career so far for his portrayal of Charlie. Fraser brings an interminable kindness and sympathy to a man who has been scorned by the world. And even when the script diverts to the painfully melodramatic, it's the moving, naked honesty laid bare by Fraser that can, at times, supersede the film's artificial emotion. He, along with a marvelous supporting turn by Hong Chow, give shining performances that resonate as some of the best of the year. The Whale is unbelievably grueling to both its main character and to its audience, and perhaps that was Aronofsky's goal all along. Well-intentioned or otherwise, the excessiveness of his directorial style really clashes with Fraser's gentle performance. Thankfully, it's that same performance that gives this film, from me, a tepid recommendation. I'm giving The Whale a for you to decide. You can see it only in theaters.
Boy, just watching, just the very small snippets that you showed, it seems like such a sad, depressing movie.
It is a very heavy, depressing movie, and I think that's both the what's the word I'm looking for? Both the strength and the failure of the movie, because he is such a light. Brendan Fraser, fantastic. You guys remember The Mummy or George the Jungle?
I was going to say, I can't believe the same guy who played George in the Jungle is nominated for an Oscar.
He is nominated for an Oscar for this performance, and he actually, I will praise, he is the best part about this movie, and Hong Chow, I think it's supporting player, you saw her a little bit of it. They are the reason to see this movie, but it's also just so grueling and not in like a way where you feel like a rousing sense of joy. It feels so like, wow, artificial, artificial emotion, like they want you to cry and not in a good way.
One of the things I was really impressed with was the makeup and the styling, because I asked you, I said, he's not that large usually, but you said it was all prosthetics.
And yeah, that is all prosthetics. He basically, which is also nominated for an Oscar, the makeup and hairstyling. Yes, fantastic work over there for the makeup department. That is basically all makeup. Apparently it was a 300-pound makeup, like a suit that he wore in order for that.
Wow.
So,
and then they probably added some skin around his face.
Yes, so
that's got to make his performance better in itself, just feeling that. When
oh my goodness, yes. And it's just so nice to see him back in the theater, because I haven't seen him in forever, honestly, and he's such a good and talented talented actor, and I'm so happy for him and his success he's going to have in the future.
Have to check it out.
We'll be right back.
Oh, this weather, I know, it's been tough to swallow. Over several days, we've been cool, cloudy, wet, and just downright dreary. That has been the case yet again for today. Let me show you your temperature trend. So these are temperatures every hour of the day since this morning. We were in the upper 30s earlier on. We have actually warmed ever so slightly today, getting into the low 40s, which is more we can say from yesterday. We didn't really able to do that yesterday. Let's zoom out though. We'll show you that all of the Carolinas today are cool. Yesterday, we're still in 70s and 80s in South Carolina. Now that warmth has been confined to Florida, and most of the country is starting to thaw just a little bit after that awful ice event across the deep south. Now, we are still dealing with some of the last of the rain. You can kind of tell it's almost done with us. Over tonight, this will be pushed farther and farther to the south, partly because of high pressure moving in from the north, just there. That's what's pushing this and driving it away. Very cold air is on the way too. So we go into the next couple of days, we're gonna chill down quite a bit. Take a look. This is the worst that it should be. Saturday morning, you're right around 20 degrees. That's the low. That's what we'll have to deal with for your weekend. But in the meantime, tomorrow will be our return to sunshine. It's windy and bright blue sky, all high in the low 40s, similar to today, but it'll feel colder than that because of the strong wind. For Saturday, highs are only in the 30s, bundle up for sure. Sunday, a little warmer, but thankfully no threat for rain or ice. Heading into next week, 50s and 60s are building back in, and we will be above average.
On this Groundhog's Day, we are asking you about some of the other B-level holidays and which are your favorite. Kathy says Valentine's Day. It's a great opportunity to have a romantic dinner. Bell's Farm said St. Patty's Day. I love green. Paige wrote Memorial Day because summer isn't far away. Michael says it's always been Groundhog Day. You don't have to buy anything, you just wish people a happy Groundhog Day. And Nancy says St. Patrick's Day is one of my favorites. I have to agree with her only because my birthday is at midnight on St. Patrick's Day. So it's always for me, it's always a big celebration.
Big party. You think everyone's celebrating you, don't you?
Yep. Okay. So my sisters start to call it, there's St. Patty's Day and then there's St. Chatty's Day.
St. Chatty's Day, that's cute. I like that. I would have to say Valentine's Day for me, and not just because of the romantic part, but you can spread love and kindness to your friends and your family. Growing up, my dad always made sure he got me, my mom, and my sister a Valentine. And then also Galentine's Day. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. I've gone out with some of my friends and we get dressed up, go to a nice restaurant, splurge on ourselves, and then we exchange gifts amongst each other.
Treat yourself kind of
day,
right?
treat yourself kind of day.
I love 4th of July. I don't know if that's a minor holiday though. That might be a major holiday.
I think that's a major holiday.
Yeah, so that's major. In other words, I like St. Patrick's Day too. My family, Irish on one side, we used to always have a big neighborhood St. Patrick's Day party growing up. And so I always look forward to it, and now I celebrate in a different way.
St. Chatty's Day.
St. Chatty's Day. St. Chatty's Day on St. Patty's Day.
We'll be right back.
Finishing up this.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Lauren Coleman here with Ben Briscoe and Chad Silver. How y'all feeling on this Thursday?
Great.
This Friday Eve.
I'm excited for this Friday if we can get past the eve.
Yeah, I'm just ready for the rain to go away. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, if you are one of our Facebook followers and you are watching the live stream on Facebook, you saw during the commercial break just the gloomy skies over High Point. Tim, sounds like it's not going to get much better today.
No, it will not. But this is not my fault, okay? This is just the way it is. We've been dealing with this for like 3 days, haven't we? The gloom, the cold weather, and yes, the wet weather as well. It's been a very gloomy couple of weeks here in the Triad, and no winter weather too makes people a little grumpy. I understand. It's a bummer, isn't it? Low to mid 40s currently. We have the clouds and certainly some rainfall. It's not that heavy. It's mostly light, so no real hazards for driving in this. It's okay, but it's not pleasant to be outside. Temperatures currently are in the low to mid 40s here across the area. We've warmed up only about 3 to 4 degrees throughout the day today. Most of the rainfall right now has really tapered off to drizzle at best. It's not very impressive, and it is mostly south of I-40 at the moment. I think we'll continue to trend a little bit drier as this rainfall gets pushed to the south over the next several hours. So by 8 to 9 and 10 o'clock tonight, we shouldn't really be dealing with much more of this. And definitely by the time you wake up tomorrow, there's no rain. There will still be clouds, but then throughout the day, we'll kind of see that sunshine breaking out. Notice how cold it is though. It is a chilly day of weather, and it's also windy. So a winter combo, cold and windy, not always a fan favorite. We'll take the sunshine though, and the wind will actually help us to dry up our yards a little bit too. Very soggy, almost flooding in some spots just because of all that standing water around. Coming up, I'll tell you why I'm encouraged that in the long-term forecast, we actually should be able to stay dry more often than not. We'll have more details on that coming up in a few minutes.
Right now, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Reidsville police say 5 people were injured in a crash, including 4 teenagers. Police responded to the scene on the crash on Freeway Drive yesterday afternoon. Everyone involved in the crash was taken to the hospital. One of the teens flown from the scene. One of the cars was driven by a teenager with 3 teen passengers. They are all in the Rockingham County school system. The driver in the second car was an adult. Police say speed was a factor in the crash. They urge everyone to remember to slow down. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more. In just a couple of hours, the Triad will honor Tyree Nichols. Nichols died almost a month ago after being brutally beaten by 5 Memphis police officers. At 6 o'clock, the Ministers' Conference of Winston-Salem and vicinity will hold a Praying for Justice event. The vigil will be held at Shiloh Baptist Church in Winston-Salem. It is open for everyone to join. Speedy's Barbecue is moving after decades of calling Winston Road home. Speedy's is moving to Piedmont Drive, not too far away. The fan favorite has to be moved out of its current location by March 1st to make room for the Winston Road widening project. The restaurant's been on Winston Road since 1963, but owner Roy Dunn assures customers the only thing changing is going to be the location.
Organizations and groups are always finding ways to give back. Guilford County Schools is on a mission to fight hunger and spread kindness. WFMY News 2's Manning Franks is pulling double duty for us today on the 4 to 5. He spoke with a teacher and students involved in the Day of Kindness at Sternberger Elementary.
They were taking the food for donations. Over here, we would get a bag and we would go around a table, each packing 3 bags.
Don't let the loud noise fool you.
Here's your noodles right here, you can pick a box.
Today at Sternberger Elementary, these kids are on a mission to fight hunger in Guilford County in what they call a Day of Kindness.
You got a really important job coming up right now. The students collected food for the month of January. They brought in food from 7 different areas, and we're going to pack them in bags.
And then you are good to go.
Sternberger PE teacher Chris Carroll and the Hoot Initiative have partnered with Out of the Garden Project to ensure that kids in the county will have access to food for the weekend.
And I've taken school groups to Out of the Garden to work in the warehouse, but we got to the point where we can't take the kids to the warehouse anymore, so I brought the warehouse to them.
And brought it to them they did. With teachers, parents, and students coming together, Sternberger's cafeteria was abuzz with helpers stacking bag after bag.
We've probably packed over 600 bags now. By the end of the day, we'll have packed over 1,000 bags.
Yet for Chris and the teachers, it was never just about the final numbers.
The mission for us is to learn to be in service, to learn to enjoy service, to learn for search out opportunities to serve. They don't do it because they get anything. They do it for what they're giving, because I think they'll find at the end of it that what they have given is a lot less than what they receive from that service.
By focusing on that spirit of service, Sternberger's Day of Kindness will be one that the students take with them for years to come.
I'm proud to be part of this Sternberger family. I'm proud of all the students. I'm proud of the parents who've done what they have in our community to help us achieve this goal.
Hood Initiative stands for Helping Ourselves and Others Thrive, and it is currently in its second year and is showing no signs of slowing down yet.
Manning, thank you. Great story there. A group of Winston-Salem State students are part of an effort to mentor young children. They're teaming up with the Cook Literacy Model School for a weekly visit with 4th and 5th graders. Their professor created what's called the Radical Academic Mentoring Service Program to promote options in education.
It's about exposure to college, right, which helps young people set goals, but it's also about exposure to a variety of careers, because all of the students in the class are not education majors. By allowing all kinds of majors to take the class, we're exposing Cook Elementary students to different career options as well.
They say they also want to have a better understanding of social-emotional needs of local kids.
It is almost time to Read to Succeed. Read to Succeed is a partnership between Guilford County Schools and WFMY News 2 that encourages elementary school kids to read often. This program has been traveling around the Triad since 2012, but like most things in our lives, COVID paused it for 2 years. But this year we are back, bringing it back, so tune in tomorrow on the Good Morning Show to see all the fun. You guys, I'm so excited about this. I'm actually a part of this initiative, and I'm going to be joining the crew in 2 weeks at another elementary school.
I'm so jealous. It is so much fun to do these events.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Amber Lake, one of our reporters, she went this morning, and she still keeps talking about it. She keeps going, learn how to read. She had so much fun. She said the kids were so excited to see our crew there. Yeah. And I caught a glimpse of it on GMS this morning during that 9 o'clock hour. It looked like they were doing some type of mock newscast with the kids, and they just looked like they loved it.
I have never actually been a part of it, just because I've always been on the night side shift. But just the videos and just talking to some of my coworkers who used to do it every week, it was just it pumped them up, and there was just so much excitement and energy from all of these kids.
And what a fun way to talk about the importance of reading. You know, reading is fundamental. You need it, and in order to succeed in life. So it's a great way for us to bring it in a fun way to engage the kiddos.
My favorite part is when we do karaoke and the kids have to read the words and they're like, oh, I do need reading.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait to see your reaction when you go do this.
I can't wait. I'm ready for them.
That's great. All right, well, we are quickly approaching music's biggest night. The Grammys aired this Sunday right here on WFMY, and there's a group from South Carolina that's been nominated for a second Grammy. Ranky Tanky is known for breaking barriers with their unique style of music. Band members are global ambassadors for Gullah music, a type of music created in the South during slavery to introduce children to African music. Ranky Tanky says they add a contemporary flair so their music can reach a broader audience.
And speaking of the Grammys, did you know that one Greensboro resident will actually be in the crowd this Sunday waiting for his name to be called? Eric Gales got his first Grammy nomination for Best Contemporary Blues Album this year. His album Crown features a variety of styles and spins on traditional blues compilations, and even features his wife LaDonna singing on a few tracks. Gales says he is honored to be in the company of the other nominees, all of whom he is friends with.
That's cool.
Yeah,
the
very
couple
cool.
that gets nominated for a Grammy together has got to stay together.
Gonna be great. I remember when Eric sat down and interviewed Eric. I think it was back in November, and he just seemed like a really cool guy, and we got to hear that love story between him and his wife and how they met, and that she has a great, amazing voice as well, too.
The Grammys are something that is so unique and cool to me because it brings together so many different genres of music into one room. I mean, think about the talent that is sitting in that room on Grammy night.
And what I love are the tributes. This year there's going to be a special hip hop tribute. Some huge names like Missy Elliott's coming back for it. A ton of people that you know. And it's always so much fun to watch.
It's always nice to see some of the artists perform that you might not have seen perform in a while. That always gets the crowd jumping and going.
Like Missy Elliott. I mean,
Yes.
talk about a 90s throwback.
She is amazing. I talked about her the other day when she came out in 2015 during the halftime show for the Super Bowl. No one was expecting her to be a part of that, and everybody was definitely dancing to that one.
It's going to be great.
Well, the Grammys air right here on WFMY News 2 this Sunday at 8 p.m. We'll be right back.
Hello, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie. I think Cinco de Mayo is the best minor holiday. So when you take a look at this, like calendar companies would call this the year at a glance, right? All the months on one sheet. So do you remember the rhyme or the mnemonic used to remember the days of the month, like how many days are in every month?
Yes. I remember doing the knuckles.
See, I never did the knuckles.
I don't remember that.
Well,
okay, so it goes,
let's do it. Let's put it up here.
Okay,
let's
teach me.
help. Let's help all of us. Okay, so we're going to put it on the monitor. Here it is. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except February,
which has
28, and in a leap year 29.
Yeah.
Y'all, that's not the catchiest song.
What?
Well,
the problem is,
I don't think we did it to a rhythm.
I feel like the people who wrote that gave up toward the end.
Yeah.
Because the February one doesn't rhyme.
Well, it's funny because I always grew up thinking, except February, which has 28 days and your mother drives a Cadillac, or something like that, or your mom drives a Yugo, or they said something funny. Like
I don't remember learning this.
No?
And the way that I learned it, very small variation,
Generational gap.
30 days, half September.
Half September, yes. Half
Anyway.
September. Anyway, so no leap year this year. It's the shortest month of the year, but that doesn't mean that you have just as many sales as you would any other month. So we're going to go away from the rhymes and we're going to save you some cash. Consumer Reports has the top items on sale for February, starting with smartphones.
Samsung is going to be revealing its newest smartphone, the Galaxy S23, at the beginning of this month. Whenever any new phone hits the market, we often see those previous models start to go on sale, and you'll see lots of trade-in specials across all the major carriers.
Along with the phone prices, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite aced CR's test, and it's as low as $299 at Amazon. That's about a $50 savings. Need a printer? This Epson EcoTank is as low as $229 at Amazon and Office Depot. Now, this inkjet printer has very inexpensive printing costs. The tanks hold plenty of refillable ink, meaning you're going to spend less on printing year after year. And towards the end of the month, look for President's Day sales events on big-ticket items like dishwashers and mattresses.
You should never pay full price for a mattress, so if you're in the market for one right now, wait until the end of the month. That's when all of the major brands are going to have their best discounts.
Imagine that, mattresses on sale.
Always.
It's
Always,
crazy
year
that there are
round.
so many mattress stores. I can't.
We don't even know what that is about, do we?
Right.
It's also crazy to think people are still buying printers. Like, I don't even know what I would do with that.
I have a printer and I use it.
Really?
Yes.
What do you
Yes.
print?
Yeah, what do you print?
Otherwise, you have to print it here.
Yeah, I print documents. I print
All kinds
sheets
of
of paper. If I have to MC something, I'll print it at home
Yes.
myself. I think you should always have a printer on hand.
See, the one thing, and maybe you've experienced this too, but growing up, like the printer always worked, but there was never ink in the cartridge.
Yeah.
Or it would start to run and there'd be lines missing
That's
in the
when
middle.
you take it out and you go, and you just blow on it and
Same
put it
like
back in
Like
there.
Atari, like blowing on the cartridge.
And the printer ink costs more than champagne. We've done the stories in 2 months
It
to know
can.
before.
It's true. You
It's
got to buy a
crazy.
good printer so that the stuff is not.
I think it's
you
beneficial.
can buy cheap champagne at the grocery store.
All right, we digress. But one last sale recommendation. Stores are ready for spring, so now's the time to get your winter weather gear like space heaters, clothes, that kind of stuff. We
You
can
just
all
can't
agree on
wear it
that.
for a while.
And next year, you're
It's
fine.
fine.
And you know what? It's going to be the coldest day of the year, like since Christmas on
Yeah.
Sunday. So you're good. Go buy it now. You'll be fine for Sunday. All right, back.
The popularity of dry January continues to increase, with an estimated 1 in 5 U.S. adults giving up alcohol during dry January. So now that the month is over, does participating in dry January actually help the majority of people drinking less during the year? Let's verify.
The popularity of dry January continues to increase, with an estimated 1 in 5 U.S. adults giving dry January a try in 2022. So now that January is over, does participating in dry January actually help the majority of people drink less during the year? Let's verify. Our source is Dr. Paul Coley, the University of Sussex, and the National Library of Medicine. According to the National Library of Medicine, the Dry January Challenge started in the UK about 10 years ago. It's aimed at people who want to gain more control over their alcohol consumption. The goal, make people realize how much better they feel after a month of not drinking. So does a month of not drinking help people lower their consumption overall? According to a study by the University of Sussex, it does. 800 people took part in the Dry January study in 2018. The results showed, come August, participants were still drinking less. On average, drinking days fell from 4 days per week to 3.
What Dry January does is it doesn't make it so you're sober for the rest of your life. It makes it so you understand control, you understand your triggers, and you get to experience how good you feel when you're not drinking.
Dr. Coley says on average, people will lose about 4.5 pounds in a month if they don't touch alcohol. Add to the fact that people are generally getting more sleep, saving money, and feeling less anxious. She says all that helps make people want to keep going.
Gives you back that control so that you're not, a victim of how much you drink, but you're actually in control of how much you drink and get to decide how much you drink.
So we can verify that, yes, participating in Dry January does help most people drink less during the year.
So maybe giving up alcohol isn't your thing. So I asked you on Facebook, what would you give up for 30 days that would benefit you? Kevin Adams says diabetic, but I still have to have a little sugar. Trina Pratt wrote electronics, phone, computer, iPad, Apple Watch, etc. Need to unwind and truly relax without feeling tied to any social media, phone calls, or media games. Christopher Lineberry says it would be a huge struggle because it's my only vice, but it really needs to be Mountain Dew. And then Daryl Mason said fast food.
I wish that I could give up social media.
Yeah.
It is such a big part of our
It's
job.
such a hard thing to give up.
I know, and I think about it all the time, right? Because it's my job to be social on social media, right? It's your job. It's our job.
Not only is it our job, but I have so much fun talking with people from home on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I've missed out on a lot if I gave it up, but I think it would help me mentally.
It might help you to unwind. Maybe you could do it to where you only use it for work needs, like you use your work Facebook and maybe your Twitter, but stay off of Instagram.
That's a slippery
That could be
slope.
something to look into. I know for me, I actually participated in Dry January. So I had a glass of champagne on New Year's Day. That was my last drink. And I've got to say, I feel good. I feel like my skin is glowing. I just feel like I have a lot of energy, and I've been able to save a lot of money.
Your skin is always glowing, though. Since I've known you've had this glow about you.
Thank you, but I really do feel good inside, because sometimes if you go out for a couple of drinks the next day, you're kind of feeling tired. I don't have that feeling. And then if I were to give something up, I usually would pick some type of food, but for the last 3 weeks, I've been doing a spiritual fast. So I've been fasting from meat and dairy and sugar, and I've got to say, I feel like if I can do this, I could probably fast from any kind of food.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
You must have learned all kinds of control.
Yeah, absolutely, because it is tempting where I'm like, I just want some sheer wine, and I can't do it. Got to drink some water.
Look at you, kicking 2023 off to a good start.
Yep.
We can all learn from Lauren.
Tim, what would you give up for 30 days?
Well, it feels like 30 days, but we've been giving up sunshine. We're done with that. We have clouds now, and that's just the way it's going to be. We will have better weather this weekend. Don't worry, everybody. But weather's been so negative lately. I wanted to start out with something positive. Take a look at this. You'll learn something. Our sunset tonight will be 5:47. Just 2 weeks from now. You can put it on your calendar if you'd like. 6 o'clock will be the sunset. That only gets better from there. In fact, we're only 6 weeks away from daylight saving time, and our sunset will be about 7:30 then. This is how gloomy it's been. We've been joking about it, the clouds, the drizzle, all of those things. They continue at this hour. But the good news is that we're almost done with the rain. It should be coming to an end between 6 and 10 o'clock for today. Temperatures have been tough to take in the 30s and 40s here locally. There's not really any warmth on the way over the next couple. Instead, we're going to be getting colder. Cold weather will be kicking our rain out of here, and once it does, we'll get the sunshine back. So Friday is looking sunny and cold and windy, but it'll also dry us out. So your weekend is looking to be cold and dry. That'll be the trend as we go into Saturday and for Sunday. It's pretty cold. 19 is your Saturday morning low. We usually see that a couple of times a month in the wintertime, but we haven't done it since Christmas, so it'll feel bitter for sure. 60s do return. We have warm weather heading into next week. No snow on the way over the next 7 to 10 days.
More video detailing Nichols' arrest is expected soon. 1212.
Hello, mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Hi there, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado.
Since you've been gone, I can breathe for the first time. 1 2 3 4 5. Oreo that's coming out. Ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie.
Three, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Mic check, mic check, mic check.
Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7.
How often do you have an old moment, like you feel old by something you're doing or can't do around a younger generation? It happened to me earlier this week. I was trying to set up a Zoom meeting and couldn't figure it out for the life of me. You'd think after 3 years filled with Zoom meetings, I'd be able to do it blindfolded. But since I couldn't figure it out, I asked one of my Gen Z coworkers to help. She giggled a bit in a judgy type of way, but fortunately walked me through it. It's not often I feel old, but it's certainly happening more often these days. Whether it's slang terms, new social media apps, or simply setting up a Zoom meeting, it's no surprise I'm approaching 40 next month. And I hear it gets worse as the years go up. I used to be that young coworker that would help his older colleagues with technology issues or questions. I've decided I like that role better. I guess my point is, don't look down on the younger generation. Before you know it, you'll rely on them for more things than you can imagine. That's just my 2 cents, and you're 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
We start with developing news on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock. 5 people are recovering after a bad wreck in Reidsville. Police say a car with 4 teens inside collided with another car yesterday afternoon.
One of the teens' injuries were so severe they had to get airlifted to the hospital. WFMY